The vast emptiness of space lit up with flashes of green and blue as laser fire crisscrossed between the human and alien ships. Earth's last defensive fleet, spread thin across the solar system, fought with everything they had. At the center of this chaos, the human flagship Hope's Dawn stood its ground, its metal hull bearing the scars of countless battles. Commander James Walker stood on the bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. His gray hair had more white in it now than when the war started 6 months ago. Around him, crew members worked at their stations, their movements quick but controlled despite the tension in the air. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Dominion flagship," called out Tom, the communications officer. His voice stayed steady, but his fingers trembled slightly over the controls. Walker nodded, straightening his blue uniform. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing High Marshal Thex of the Dominion forces. The alien commander's scaled face and 4 glowing eyes had become a familiar sight in the past months. Every human knew this face. It belonged to the commander who had never lost a battle. "Commander Walker," Thex's voice rumbled through the speakers. "Your resistance grows tiresome. You've lost 3 outposts in the last week alone. Surrender now, and we might let your species live as our servants." Walker kept his face neutral, though his hand tightened on the back of his chair. "That's quite an offer, Marshal, but I'm afraid we'll have to decline." Again, the alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Your bravery is admirable, but foolish. You humans think you're special because you've managed to reach the stars. But you're nothing but primitive creatures playing with technology you barely understand." Around the bridge, Walker's crew continued their work, used to these exchanges by now. Through the viewport, another explosion lit up space as a small human fighter took down a Dominion scout ship. "We understand enough to give you a proper fight," Walker replied, allowing himself a small smile. The same smile that had earned him the nickname Stone Face among his crew. Thex's scaled skin rippled with anger. "A proper fight? You've lost half your fleet. Your colonies are falling one by one. And yet you still resist." The alien commander leaned closer to the screen. "Perhaps it's time we showed you what real power looks like." Walker noticed something change in Thex's expression, a look he hadn't seen before. Was it anticipation? Excitement? "I've studied your Earth's history," Thex continued. "I know about your most fearsome weapons, the ones you've tried to keep hidden from us. Did you think we wouldn't find out?" This caught Walker off guard. He glanced at his second-in-command, Pete, who shrugged slightly. "You've been holding back your greatest asset," Thex said, mandibles clicking. "But our spies have uncovered your secret. We know about the beasts you've bred for war, the creatures you've trained to kill." Walker's confusion must have shown on his face, because Thex's expression turned triumphant. "Oh yes, Commander, we know. And now," the alien's 4 eyes gleamed with malice, "we'll show you that we too can unleash such creatures. Your human beasts won't save you now." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in momentary silence. "Sir," Pete stepped closer. "What was that about beasts?" Walker shook his head, puzzled. "I'm not sure, but whatever they're planning." His words were cut off by a flash of light from his personal tablet, a message from the small transport ship he'd left at the edge of the solar system. The message was simple: package secure and en route. For the first time that day, a real smile crossed Walker's face. He looked out at the battlefield, where Dominion ships were regrouping into attack formation. "Sir," Pete prompted. "Your orders." Walker's smile grew wider. "We hold position and wait. Let's see what kind of beast the Dominion has prepared for us." He glanced again at his tablet, the message still glowing on the screen. "I have a feeling our side might have the better surprise." Out in the darkness of space, a small transport ship altered its course, carrying precious cargo that neither side's soldiers could have predicted would change the course of the war. The space between the 2 fleets crackled with energy as the Dominion ships moved into attack positions. On the bridge of Hope's Dawn, The crew watched as a massive door opened in the side of the alien flagship. The opening was large enough to fit 3 battle cruisers. "Whatever's coming out of that ship," Pete said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "It's big." Commander Walker remained calm, his eyes fixed on his tablet tracking his personal transport's approach. "Size isn't everything, Pete." The ship's sensors began blaring warnings. Red lights flashed across every screen on the bridge. Tom's fingers flew across his console as he tried to make sense of the readings. "Sir," Tom called out. "The energy readings from the Dominion ship. I've never seen anything like it. Whatever they're powering up in there, it's massive." High Marshal Thex's face appeared on the screen again. The alien commander's scales were practically glowing with pride. "Behold, Commander Walker. While you humans spent generations training your beasts, we spent that time creating our own." From the darkness of the massive doorway, something began to emerge. First came massive claws, each one bigger than a fighter ship, then a scaled head with 6 eyes, followed by a body that seemed to stretch on forever. The creature looked like a mix between a dragon and a space station, its body covered in metal plates and weapons. The bridge crew gasped. Even Walker's eyes widened slightly. "We call it the World Ender," Thex announced, "a biological weapon enhanced with our most advanced technology. It can tear through battleships like paper. Its armor can withstand direct hits from your strongest weapons." The alien commander's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Now, Commander, where is this terrible beast of yours? The one your transport ship is bringing?" Walker checked his tablet again. 3 minutes until his transport arrived. He needed to buy time. "Coming soon," Walker said calmly. "Though I must say, your beast is impressive." "Impressive?" Thex laughed. "It is the ultimate weapon, created from the deadliest predators across 12 galaxies. And you," the alien commander squinted at something on his own screen, "you're bringing a single creature in a small transport." The World Ender floated between the fleets, its massive form blocking out the stars behind it. Energy weapons sprouted from its sides, and its mouth opened to reveal what looked like a plasma cannon. "Sir," Pete whispered urgently, "maybe we should retreat. That thing could swallow our ship whole." Walker held up his hand. "Wait for it." The transport ship finally appeared at the edge of the battlefield. It was tiny, especially compared to the World Ender. The Dominion forces seemed to find this hilarious. Their laughter came through clearly on the open channels. "This is your mighty beast," Thex roared with laughter. In that tiny vessel, Walker pressed a button on his console, opening a channel to the transport. "Right on time. Open the cargo bay, please." The back of the transport slowly opened. The bridge crew leaned forward, many of them not knowing what to expect. Even Walker's closest officers had no idea what secret weapon their commander had planned. Inside the transport's cargo bay, a small figure in a white spacesuit floated gracefully. As it turned, everyone could see the wagging tail. Walker's face broke into a huge smile. What is this?" Thex demanded. "What kind of trick is this?" The figure in the spacesuit did a happy spin, its tail moving faster as it spotted the Hope's Dawn through its specially designed helmet. "Marshal Thex," Walker said proudly, "meet Max, my golden retriever. And yes, he's very excited to be here." The silence that followed was absolute. The mighty World Ender actually stopped in its tracks, all 6 of its eyes focused on the tiny floating figure that was now doing playful flips in space. "You brought a pet." Thex's voice was barely a whisper. "Not just a pet," Walker corrected. "The best friend any human could ask for. And if you'd like to see what he can really do." He pressed another button on his console. "Max, want to show these nice aliens some tricks." The space-suited dog barked, the sound carrying clearly through all communication channels, and began to move with purpose toward the human fleet. The war was about to take a very unexpected turn. Max floated through space with perfect control, his white spacesuit gleaming in the starlight. The special suit was a masterpiece of engineering, designed to let the golden retriever move freely while protecting him from a harsh vacuum of space. His tail continued wagging, visible through the clear portion of his suit made specifically to allow this crucial form of dog communication. On the Dominion flagship, High Marshal Thex stared in disbelief. The alien commander's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. The massive world ender, their ultimate biological weapon, hung motionless in space, its 6 eyes tracking the small dog's movements. "This is your weapon." Thex's voice crackled through the communication channel. This small, furry creature. Commander Walker smiled, watching Max through the bridge viewport. "Max, show Formation Alpha." The space-suited dog barked once and began to move. His suit's small thrusters activated with precise control, and suddenly Max was no longer just floating. He was dancing through space. He zipped between 3 human fighters, who immediately fell into position behind him. "As you can see," Walker explained, "Max is quite good at his job. He's been trained to lead our fighter squadrons." The human fighters followed Max's lead, performing a complex series of maneuvers that looked more like an aerial ballet than military formations. Each time Max moved, the fighters responded instantly, creating patterns that would be impossible for normal squadron leaders to coordinate. But how?" Thex demanded. "It's just an animal. Dogs have been working with humans for thousands of years," Walker said proudly. "Max here comes from a long line of working dogs. His great-grandfather helped search and rescue teams. His grandmother was a therapy dog at the Space Academy. His mother helped coordinate ground troops. Max." Walker pressed another button. "Show them your specialty." Max barked happily and activated a special feature of his suit. A holographic display appeared around him, showing tactical information that all nearby human ships could see. As he moved, the display updated in real time, creating a 3-dimensional battle map that was easier to understand than any computer-generated version. "You see," Walker continued, "dogs can process movement and spatial relationships in ways our computers still can't match. Max doesn't just lead formations, he helps our entire fleet coordinate better. And he does it all while being the goodest boy in space." The world ender shifted uncomfortably, its massive form seemingly unsure how to react to the small dog that now floated near its head, tail still wagging. Max barked at the huge creature, not in threat but in friendly greeting, the same way he'd bark at a new friend at the dog park. "This is impossible," Thex muttered. "Our research showed these creatures in your war footage. They attacked enemies. They guarded territories. They hunted with your soldiers." "Well, yes," Walker nodded. "Dogs have helped in wars. But that's not what they're really about. Max, why don't you show the Marshal your favorite trick?" Max spun in place excitedly, and then did something unexpected. He pulled a ball from a special compartment in his suit. Using his suit's thrusters, he threw the ball toward the world ender, then looked at the massive creature expectantly, tail wagging even faster. The bridge crew of the Hope's Dawn tried to hide their laughter as the most terrifying biological weapon ever created stared in confusion at a tennis ball floating past its head. "He wants to play fetch," Walker explained to the bewildered alien commander. "That's what dogs do. They work with us, protect us, help us, but mostly, they're our companions, our friends." "Friends." Thex repeated the word as if it was entirely new to them. Max retrieved his ball and moved closer to the world ender again, clearly hoping the giant creature would join in his game. The massive beast, designed for destruction, found itself being invited to play by a creature 1,000th its size. And in that moment, everything the Dominion thought they knew about humanity's beasts began to change. High Marshal Thex paced on the bridge of the Dominion flagship, scaled tail twitching nervously. The massive view screen showed multiple videos from Earth's history. Military dogs jumping through obstacle courses, police dogs chasing suspects, rescue dogs finding survivors in rubble, and hunting dogs tracking prey. You see, Thex gestured at the screens, speaking to his confused officers. All our intelligence showed these creatures as weapons. Look at their teeth, their speed, their hunting abilities. Meanwhile, Max continued his space patrol, leading another formation of human fighters in perfect coordination. The world ender had settled into a confused hover, all six eyes following the space-suited dog's movements. Every few minutes, Max would float past with his ball, still hoping for a game of fetch. "Sir," Commander Walker's voice came through the communication channel. "I think I understand the confusion. Would you like to see some other videos from Earth?" Before Thex could respond, new images appeared on their screens. The videos showed dogs playing with children in parks, sleeping in beds with their families, helping elderly people cross streets, and getting belly rubs. One video showed a golden retriever, similar to Max, gently carrying a kitten in its mouth and caring for it like a parent. "Impossible," one of Thex's officers whispered. "These are the same creatures." Walker's voice was gentle. "Dogs have been humanity's companions for over 15,000 years. Yes, they can fight if they need to. They're brave and strong, but that's not what makes them special." Through the viewport, they watched as Max finished his patrol route and flew back to the Hope's Dawn. The dog pressed his helmet against the ship's window near Walker's position, trying to give his human a space kiss. "What we discovered," Walker continued, "was that dogs have something rare in the universe, the ability to form deep emotional bonds with other species. They don't just obey commands, they understand feelings. They don't just protect us, they love us." The bridge of the Dominion flagship fell silent as they watched Max nuzzle the window. Even through his spacesuit, they could see his whole body wiggling with joy at being near his human. But Thex struggled with the concept. "In our research, we found training camps, military installations, special breeding programs. Those exist," Walker admitted. "But look at this." A new video appeared, showing a military dog training facility on Earth. But instead of the harsh training camp the aliens expected, they saw handlers playing with their dogs, giving them treats, and praising them enthusiastically. Every completed task was rewarded with toys, pets, and happy words. "They work with us because they want to," Walker explained, "because it makes them happy to help their humans. The better we treat them, the harder they work. It's a partnership built on trust and affection." Max, having finished his window snuggle, returned to his patrol route. As he passed the world ender again, he did a playful loop-de-loop, still carrying his ball hopefully. The massive biological weapon, designed to be the most fearsome creature in the galaxy, slowly lowered its head to get a better look at the small dog. To everyone's surprise, the world ender made a soft chirping sound, something none of its creators had ever heard before. Marshall, one of Thex's scientists, spoke up. "According to these readings, the world ender is trying to play." Indeed, the giant creature was gently moving its head from side to side, tracking Max's ball the way a cat might watch a toy. Thex sank into their command chair, all four eyes wide with realization. "We spent decades creating the perfect biological weapon," they muttered, "combining the deadliest predators, enhancing them with technology, training them through fear and control. And you just made friends with yours. That's humanity's real secret weapon, Marshall," Walker said softly. "Not our technology, not our numbers, not even our determination. It's our ability to turn strangers into friends, even across species." As if to prove his point, Max had somehow convinced the world ender to very carefully nudge the ball back to him with the tip of its massive snout. The war, it seemed, had taken an entirely unexpected turn toward peace. The entire battlefield had gone quiet. No shots were fired. No ships moved in attack formation. Instead, both human and Dominion forces watched in amazement as Max played fetch with the world ender in the space between their fleets. The giant creature had finally figured out how to gently toss the ball back using its massive claws. Each time it successfully returned the ball without breaking it. Max would do a happy spin in his spacesuit, causing the world ender to make more of those strange chirping sounds. "I've never seen anything like this," reported Dr. Reed, the head scientist on the Hope's Dawn. She studied the readings on her tablet with growing excitement. The world ender's aggressive behavior programming is being overwritten by play patterns. Commander Walker smiled, watching Max guide the massive creature through what was essentially an impromptu training session. That's what Max does best. He's never met a living thing he couldn't befriend. On the Dominion flagship, High Marshal Thex leaned forward in their command chair, all four eyes fixed on the scene. But how is this possible? The world ender was programmed to destroy everything in its path. Its brain was specifically designed to feel nothing but rage and hunger. That's probably why it's responding so well to Max, Walker explained. Think about it. In its entire existence, has anyone ever just tried to play with it? The alien commander's silence was answer enough. Meanwhile, Max had started a new game. He was leading the world ender through a series of gentle maneuvers, teaching it how to move without accidentally damaging nearby ships. Each successful movement was rewarded with an enthusiastic bark and a game of fetch. "Look at the neural patterns," Dr. Reed called out, sharing her screen with both bridges. The world ender's brain is literally rewiring itself. The pleasure centers are activating for the first time. The massive creature was learning quickly. It managed to catch the ball between two claws with surprising gentleness, then waited for Max's happy bark before throwing it back. When Max did a trick, the world ender would try to copy it, leading to the surreal sight of a planet-sized weapon attempting to do a roll in space. "Your weapons labs," Walker said softly to Thex. "They probably never considered joy as a training tool, did they?" "Joy?" Thex repeated the word like it was foreign. "We thought power came from fear and pain. Our greatest minds said that was the only way to create a perfect weapon. But look at Max." Walker gestured to where his dog was now teaching the world ender to follow basic commands, using a combination of movements and happy barks. "He's more effective than any weapon because he works from love. He helps us because he wants to, not because he has to." Through the viewport, they could see other changes happening. Some of the Dominion ships had moved closer, their crews fascinated by the ongoing interaction. A few human fighters had done the same. Without anyone giving orders, the two fleets were slowly mixing, drawn together by the simple sight of a dog playing with his new friend. "Sir," Pete reported from his station, "I'm getting requests from the Dominion ships. Their crews, they want to know if there are more dogs like Max, if they could maybe meet them." Walker looked at Thex through the video link. "You know, Marshal, Earth has millions of dogs. Each one just as capable of friendship as Max, and they're not the only animals we've befriended. Have you ever heard of cats? There are more." The alien commander's scales shifted color in surprise. "Oh yes," Walker grinned. "Cats, horses, birds, dolphins. Earth has quite a collection of friends. And you know what? I bet the world ender would love to meet them too." As if to emphasize this point, the massive creature had just succeeded in doing a perfect slow roll in space, copying Max's movement. Its happy chirps had grown louder, and its 6 eyes were glowing with something that looked remarkably like joy. "Perhaps," Thex said slowly, watching their ultimate weapon play like a puppy, "we should discuss terms for peace. And maybe include a cultural exchange program in the negotiations." The war was ending not with a bang, but with a bark of joy and the sound of friendship echoing through space. High Marshal Thex had faced many challenges in their long military career, but none quite like this. The alien commander stood in the observation deck of the Dominion flagship, watching their most powerful weapon doing something entirely unexpected, learning to sit on command. Max floated in space, patiently demonstrating the proper sitting position in his spacesuit. The world ender, a creature larger than most space stations, was attempting to copy him. Its massive form shifted awkwardly as it tried to curl into a sitting position, looking more like a confused mountain than a trained pet. Remarkable. Dr. Reed's voice came through the shared channel as she continued monitoring the situation. The world ender's aggression levels have dropped to near zero. Its brain chemistry is completely different from what your scientists designed. Commander Walker had joined Thex on the Dominion flagship, a sign of growing trust between the former enemies. He stood beside the alien commander, both of them watching the unlikely pair through the reinforced window. "You know what the funny thing is?" Walker said, smiling as Max gave an encouraging bark to the world ender. "We never actually trained Max to do any of this. He just wants to help. It's in his nature." In his nature. Thex's scales rippled with confusion. But all creatures must be programmed, trained, controlled. That's what our scientists always said. The world ender finally managed something close to a sitting position. Max spun in excitement, and the massive creature's happy chirps shook nearby ships with their intensity. "Look at your world ender now," Walker gestured. "You designed it to be the perfect killing machine. But given the chance, it chose to be something else, just like dogs chose to be our friends thousands of years ago." A small group of Dominion officers had gathered nearby, watching in fascination. One of them, a young officer, dared to ask, "Commander Walker, how does one befriend a dog?" Walker pulled out his tablet and showed them pictures from his home on Earth. Images of Max sleeping on his bed, playing in a park, helping in the garden, and riding in his car with his head out the window. "Dogs live with us," Walker explained. "They become part of our families. They share our lives, our homes, our happiness and our sorrows. Max isn't just my weapon or my helper. He's my family." Family. Thex stared at the pictures, then back at Max and the world ender. We never considered that possibility with our creations. The world ender was kept in isolation, trained only for combat." As they watched, Max had started teaching the world ender a new trick: how to gently pick up objects without crushing them. The huge creature was using the tip of one claw to carefully lift pieces of space debris, looking ridiculously proud of itself when it succeeded. "Sir," a Dominion scientist approached Thex nervously, "we've analyzed the world ender's new behavior patterns. It's developing emotions we didn't think it could have. Happiness, playfulness, pride in learning new skills. It's becoming more than what we designed it to be." Thex was quiet for a long moment, watching their ultimate weapon learning to play. "All this time," they finally said, "we thought power came from creating the perfect weapon. But you humans, you found power in creating the perfect friend." "Not creating," Walker corrected gently. "Growing together, building trust, sharing life." Through the window, they could see that Max had somehow convinced several human fighters and Dominion ships to join their game. The spacecraft were carefully maneuvering around the world ender in a complex dance, with Max leading them all like a tiny, enthusiastic conductor. "Commander Walker," Thex turned all four eyes to the human, "I believe I owe your species an apology. We clearly have much to learn from you, and perhaps—" They hesitated, then continued, "perhaps you could teach us how to make friends too." Walker smiled, watching as Max guided his growing space orchestra in their dance. "Marshal Thex, I think that's the best idea anyone's had since this war began. And I know just the dog who'd love to help teach you." In space, Max barked happily, as if he already knew his family was about to get much, much bigger. 3 months after the day that became known as the Great Fetch Incident, the main hall of Earth's Space Command Center looked very different from its usual formal atmosphere. The large room was filled with both humans and Dominion representatives, but instead of war plans, they were sharing pictures of their pets. High Marshal Thex stood in the center of the room, proudly holding a small golden retriever puppy. The alien commander's scales had taken on a softer blue color that their species showed when feeling happy. The puppy, named Star, was enthusiastically licking Thex's face, with absolutely no concern for proper military protocol. "She did her first trick yesterday," Thex announced to Commander Walker, who stood nearby with Max at his side. She learned to shake hands with my tail. Max wagged his tail in approval, clearly proud of his role as Earth's first interstellar ambassador. He wore a special new collar that marked him as an official diplomatic relations officer, though he seemed more interested in making sure all the puppies in the room were playing nicely. Near the large windows, the world ender floated in space, visible to everyone inside. The massive creature had been completely transformed. Its weapons had been modified into tools for space construction, and it now helped build bridges between stars instead of destroying them. A special platform had been attached to its head where Max could sit during their shared patrol duties. "You know," Dr. Reed said, reviewing her latest data, "the world ender's changes have given us incredible insights into neural plasticity. We never knew a brain could be rewired so completely by positive experiences." Walker watched as a group of Dominion officers cooed over pictures of Earth cats. Sometimes the best scientific discoveries come from unexpected places. The peace treaty between humans and the Dominion had been officially named the Companion Act. Its first articles established a comprehensive cultural exchange program, with a special focus on sharing Earth's experience with animal companions. The Dominion, in turn, shared their advanced biotechnology, helping create better spacesuits for dogs and other animals who wanted to join their humans in space. "Commander," Thex called out, still holding their squirming puppy. "Star is enrolled in the space training program next month. Do you think Max could maybe help with some of the classes?" Max's ears perked up at hearing his name, and his tail wagged faster. "I think he'd love that." Walker smiled. "He's already made quite a career of teaching." Through another window, they could see a remarkable sight, a fleet of mixed human and Dominion ships performing training exercises. Each group was led by a space-suited dog, with Max's students now helping train both species in cooperation rather than combat. "It's amazing," Pete said, watching the fleet movements. "The dogs somehow know exactly how to communicate with both species. It's like they're natural translators." "Not just translators," Walker corrected. "Bridge builders. They remind us of what we have in common instead of what makes us different." The world ender's happy chirps echoed through space as Max returned to their shared patrol duties. The sight of the tiny dog and the massive creature working together had become a symbol of the new peace, appearing on everything from official documents to children's toys. "You know what the funniest part is?" Thex said, finally managing to hold their squirming puppy still. "We spent years trying to understand humanity's greatest weapon. We studied your wars, your technology, your tactics. But in the end, Walker finished, you discovered our greatest strength was our capacity for friendship. And love," Thex added, using the word carefully. It was still new to their species, but they were learning. Star licked their face again as if confirming the point. Outside, Max and the world ender began their patrol route, their unlikely friendship having changed the course of two civilizations. As they passed by the window, Max was teaching his giant friend another new trick, proving that even the most fearsome weapon could learn to be gentle when shown enough kindness. The war that had started with a search for the ultimate weapon had ended with the discovery of the ultimate truth, that love, friendship, and a wagging tail could accomplish what no weapon ever could, bringing peace to the stars. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, a small golden retriever in a spacesuit continued to show the way forward, one game of fetch at a time.